Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Dr. Hazel Jay. Hey!
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
Hey, y'all. Welcome to our next episode with Get Lit with Dr. Hazel Jay. I am your girl, Dr. Hazel Jay, and we getting lit with part 2 with Mr.
DuJuan Mosely.
Hey, give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Reintroduce yourself, please.
Again, I'm DuJuan Mosely, born in New York, raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a realtor, mentor, help kids in the community with basketball, utilizing it as a tool to stay away from all the negative things out there, as well as I help people invest and I do accounting work for them. So I'm just trying to help the community, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm a part of the community, so I'm going to need your help. Can you come help me?
You got it. You're
Hey, I love it. I love it. I sure do. I want to open up a transitional home.
That's dope.
I do. And I want it to be like a, where I'm doing counseling, but it's taking this work and putting it in a home, getting fathers, single fathers, who want their kids, but they're not in a position to physically provide the place, so they go through the program for about 6 months. I'm going to cap it at 6 months. And then they get paired with a mentor, and then they get their place and all these different things.
That's dope.
So they can, so I would really like to do something.
We need as many of those as possible.
Yeah.
Like we really do. They building more jails than they building transitional homes.
Mm-hmm.
And like I always told you, I felt like counseling is a major issue that we all need. I remember even going to counsel with my wife. You would think she didn't need it. She's very cool and calm, but at the same time, there's things that she was keeping on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And so therapy and counseling was helping her bring it out.
Mm-hmm.
So even though sometimes we always assume like, oh, I've talked to some people, I suggested for them to do that. Oh, I'm not telling no stranger my business, but you keep telling me all your business.
Mm-hmm. And I think
and I'm not no therapist, so I don't know, like, you know what I mean? So it's okay. I feel like it really changed my life, like I told you on part 1. So.
So question, and I've asked a lot of my, well, you're not my friend, but you're becoming somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked a lot of my male friends about the women that they choose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there similarities to their mom, right? So when you said that you've never seen your mama cry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just mentioned how your wife.
The same way. Wow. I just thought about that. And
right?
you know their birthdays is 1 day apart?
Wow.
Their birthdays is 1 day apart.
Wow. So what, and this is just intriguing to me, because fellas, I'm pointing this out because I want you to understand, depending on the relationship that you have with your mom, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, until you either appreciate or you heal through, you're going to pick subconsciously the same type of woman. I've done studies, my own personal studies. I'm not no researcher for real, but my own personal studies has proven to be true. And as you just heard Mr. Mosely say, wow, he never thought about it. He subconsciously chose, and he has his mom at the highest regard, and he subconsciously chose a woman that's similar to his mom.
Yeah, that's real deep. They got very similar stories when you think about it. Like real similar, very similar.
Would you
very
like to
strong.
share?
Yeah, they both. My mother came down here young, had hair salons young. I think she was 24, 25. She came down here with me. My wife did the same thing. She came down here with no family. Well, she had 1 child. She was in graduate school, got her own apartment. Like she was doing everything by herself with no support. And that's how my mom was, the same way. And they both kind of real thick skin, like, hey, I'm gonna make this happen regardless. And my wife's like that too. You're not gonna see if something's wrong with her. You gotta kind of get it up out of her. She's gonna kind of just push throughout the day like nothing's going on. My mom's like that. My mom's just gonna keep going. I don't care what it is. She gonna keep going. And that's what helps me. Like I remember my mom when they told her she couldn't get own a hair salon in Georgia because her beauty license was in New York. whatever she did, I mean, it's the past now. She made it happen, and she got her hair salon. And so those type of stories always make me feel like, boy, I don't care what you going through, you better get your up and keep going. Like, that really motivates me, because I always look at her like, oh, she don't care, she ain't gonna stop. And you find that in a lot of our women. They strong, like they real strong, with everything they go through. It's like they kind of still push forward.
And that's why I asked you about how did it make you feel when you finally heard and saw your mama cry. That's why I wanted to know that, because I know that you overemphasize how strong she is, and how she just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think one of the messages I want to come across is that even as a woman, especially a Black woman, if you cry, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show your true emotions in a way that allows you to release, but you're taking action in a direction that's going to allow you, if you cry again about that, it's tears of joy. It's success, right? It's not, woe is me, the whole world's crashing on me, and I'm about to do whatever it takes. I'm going to go out there and sell this part of my body. I'm going to go out here and do this and do. You see what I'm saying? Like, your mom, she did something that a lot of people in general, or a lot of women don't do when they feel abandoned, alone, insecure. She cried, she released, and she kept pushing forward. What characteristic in your mom and in your wife do they share that similar, that one word, that adjective that you can give the audience on to find that within themselves, so they can too be able to push forward, whether you are a man or a woman, a mom or a wife? What is that?
I don't know. I mean, persistence.
What does that look like, sound like, and feel like?
I already wrote down what I said I was going to do, and then next week I got into a car accident and I had to spend extra money somewhere else. But guess what? I'm going to find a way to get the money to pay for whatever I said I was going to do. I think about that all the time. Like, it doesn't matter. DuJuan, you got 2 feet, 2 hands. It doesn't matter. Like,
so what happens if you don't have 2 feet and 2 hands?
And that's the thing. We see people like that, but guess what you do? They still smiling. You go to Kroger and you see somebody pushing their own self, like they don't have no legs, but guess what? They still smiling, and they still shopping. They not sitting at home begging somebody to shop for them. They still trying to what? Move forward with their life. And we always hear that phrase anyways, there's always somebody worse off than you. So, I mean, you always got to kind of think like that. But I read an article a couple years ago about Master P and his son. And they were just clashing. And coaching boys, what I've learned with the youth is that it's almost normal when they like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 to kind of clash with the mom or the father. That's like kind of normal.
They normalize. I don't think it's normal.
It seems like I've always seen a good kid, they get to like 15, 16, 17, start smelling themselves a little bit, and the dad or the mom got to put them right back in their place, and then boom, they get right back in order.
Okay, so I'm going to pause, because you're saying a lot of things, so I'm going to pause you for that. Do you think that's because that's the age that it happens, or do you think that's because that's when the young person is now becoming, they're finding themselves, they're like, wait a minute, this conflicts against who I am? Because a lot of times parents or mentors or whomever, they will push their own stuff onto their children or until their mentees. They'll push their own beliefs, their own feelings, their own this onto their kids from the position of what they didn't have. I missed out on this, and you're going to be this, you're going to be a doctor. And they're like, I don't want to be no doctor. What you talking about? You're going to be this, you're going to keep the legacy. Like, wait a minute, you're trying to force me. And if it's a kid who is used to pleasing their family, right, that person, they're going to do that. And then something's going to, they get exposed to things. And then they're like, now there's a conflict. And so it shows up in that way. I remember as a teacher, I had I was teaching high school marketing, and I had my students do a project about who they are and what they wanted to become. Created a book around it and everything. I'll plug myself later. But one of my kids said, well, no, I wasn't Dr. J. They said Miss J. Miss J, my parents want me to do this, but I want to do this. I said, well, why don't you have a conversation with your parent and explain? I said, because 9 times out of 10, your parent did something that they didn't want to do. They felt like they had to do. And if you ask them, they'll say, man, I wish I would have done this instead of this, because they were in the business of pleasing someone. 9 times out of 10, it's happening that the kids are trying to please, and right, wrong, or indifferent, the parent or the mentor, whomever they looked up to, has kind of like faded their identity out, trying to protect them at the same time. And as a result, you have this conflict now. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And I believe that's true, but not at that age.
You don't think that happens at that age?
You do get some kids, I feel like they just really advanced, but me personally, I don't feel that 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, you really know yourself yet.
But that's what I'm saying. You're figuring yourself out.
Right.
But if your identity is covered or cloaked by the identity of the people who you have you admire, you look up to, then it's not your identity at all. You're clothed in them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The conflict. So conflict happens when what? When somebody's arguing, when somebody's being argumentative, and somebody's being loud, or because we can have the same conversation and 2 other people have another conversation and argue. So what I'm looking at, what I've seen is not me growing up becoming who I really want to be, is more so like still a little disrespectful. Because let's think about it. Somebody used to teach me a long time ago, like, DuJuan, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Where'd you go? Now you know how I've been living without you. Daydreaming on a cloud with you like horizon. With you tonight is on a island.
So let me pause this then, because this came up. Last week off camera, we were talking about how little girls are being sexually assaulted by family members, right? Whether it's an uncle, a cousin, sometimes an auntie, or what have you, right? And they don't say anything. Do you think that in their silence, it's because, going back to them trying to figure out their identity, so to speak, like they don't say anything, but they don't feel like their parents is listening to them anyway, because their parents is pushing their right, wrong, or indifferent. They're pushing what they want onto them, so they don't feel seen or heard by their family. And then here comes somebody who does see and hear them, but they're abusing them, and they're telling them you better not say nothing, or they don't say it at all. They just keep going. Like, do you think there's a fine line between that? Because at what point, what kids do say something? Most people, because you were talking about something was going on went viral online, and now all of a sudden the girls are now sharing, hey, yes, I got molested or raped by my 13,
yes, uncle, cousin.
Yes,
it was all on social media.
Now if that child at that time, if they at that time felt seen or heard at that time in their life, do you think they would have said something a lot earlier? Okay, so I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't know. That's hard for me to tell you what's going through their mind, body as a young lady, on why they didn't say nothing. I do know somebody that said something, and nobody believed her. She was in the foster care system, and nobody believed her. And years later, that man tried somebody else, and you know what I mean. So not to say she was right or wrong. I'm not going to take nobody's side, but it was kind of, to me, it looks like she was right. So I've seen her say something, nobody believe her. That's crazy to me. But it seems like somebody always knows, besides the actual victim, the young girl. It seems like somebody else in the family knows. So then, why do you think that just irks that? Right. Why do you think the people who do know still don't say anything? I honestly don't know, and that's something that I'm very I feel like before God takes everybody, you got to soften your heart in a lot of areas. And that's something he has to soften my heart, because I can't understand it. I was talking to one of my, I guess, going to be new friends, and they were like, that's what you just said, so I had to say that about her too. And she was,
yeah.
But she, what was my point? She what did she say? What did Deja say? Deja said sometimes or we don't know what they went through.
You don't.
So we don't know if they normalize it and they looking at it like, well, I went through it and don't say I just don't know. I don't understand it. And then I remember talking to a man. He said this to me. I said to him, what are you gonna leave your son? Like, what are you doing for your son? Oh, nobody gave me anything. I'm not leaving him nothing. So some people think like that. I don't know why. You know what I mean?
So you're saying that some people think, well, nobody didn't save me when it happened to me, so what I'm gonna save them for? I'm here, and you figure it out like I had to figure it out.
It could be. It could be, because I just can't understand how a fragile little girl.
And you don't even have to be a little girl. You can be a person who's a teenager.
Well, I look at women fragile. I'm sorry, I don't mean no disrespect
fragile
when I say that.
Okay,
and I say that. It's just like you, like even when a man punches a woman's face, like it's like, where does that end? Like, how could you see what I'm saying? It's just so traumatizing to me. It's a fair with me. I got 3 daughters. Like, I'm on them. I got one uncle. I remember when we was coming up, he used to, oh, yeah, come here, boy. Somebody touch you. Like, oh, I was like, why are you asking them that? And I see now why you asking them that. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's just something that it's really, we got to kind of tackle in our community, pray. And we do have to, you know what I mean? It's a lot of people that's been done like that. We do have to say something, because the people that's doing it to these children or to these women or to a young boy or whoever, they kind of need to be punished. They got a problem.
And this just reminded me of something I think I shared with y'all last time, right? I was sharing how my and I don't have no problems with saying and doing saying what I'm saying. So I mean, hey, it happened to me. So I remember my nana when I had to have been about 11, 10 or 11, maybe like 11 or 12 maybe. I had to have been about 11 or 12, and I had on these shorts, and I wasn't even tripping off the shorts. Like, there was some cute shorts. At one point I used to be thin, y'all. I did used to be thin, for real. But I had on these shorts. I didn't think nothing of it, right? And my nana said, you can't wear them shorts. What are, like, pretty much you being a hoochie, you being fast, you being this, right? So I got in trouble. I had to go change my shorts. So now we at a church event. They need to raise money for their church. This is y'all see this face? This is the foolery that people are exposed to, because either they don't know better, or they don't care to know better, or they just some selfish people and they only care about, anyways, I'm not even going to a tangent. But this woman told me they wasn't bringing in enough money. This woman told me to go home, her house, go get them shorts that she banned me from wearing, put them on, come back to the church, hold up the sign that say car wash, so they can get money coming in. And that's when they made the most money. Exploitation on a whole different level, right? I remember that one of an in-law, it was my aunt's brother. I don't know if that gave him permission or what. This dude pulled out his stuff. I had to have been about 12, and told me to get on my knees and take care of him. And I said no. And I ran out the door. Then he went and told his sister that I advanced myself on him. And then she went and told my nana. And then my nana went and called me all type of stuff, and then told my mama. And then she didn't want to have nothing to do with me ever again. Like, she just mistreated me from that point on. But you used me when it was convenient for you, type of situation, right?
That's crazy.
So I'm sharing all of that to say that there are women and men who are exploited by their own family in the most subtle ways. I'm laughing at it now, but that's insane. I had a whole, I became very hypersexual, like really. it was just crazy to the point I was like, I think something wrong with me. Because what ends up happening is you either become super hypersexual or you turn to the sex that didn't bring you that harm. Well, since I got harmed by male and female, I just became hypersexual is really what happened to me. And I had to figure that out, but that impacted my self-esteem, my worthiness, and all those things, right? So I'm saying all that to say, for going back to you and the people that you support, the kids that you help, what you've seen on all the girls saying, yeah, that happened to me here, that happened to me there. Even your mom being so young, having you at such a young age, and then you saying the similarities with your wife. What do you think? What separates someone when we can show up different? Like our experiences doesn't impact us in the point to where we're drowning in other things. Like we still are able to rise above that. Like you still rose above it, even though your mom had you at such a young age. Your mom rose above it, even though she had you at such a young age. Your wife rose above it. Like what in us, what in you, what in them, what in me do you think helped us rise above it? Like we're like, no, we are not this. I'm not going to be on drugs. I'm not going to be on welfare for the rest of my life. I was on welfare, Section 8. I just refused to be on it. I said, this is just my stepping stone. I'm using this for right now, but I'm going to be more than this. I am not going to be a part of my situation. Yes, I was molested. Yes, I was abused. Yes, I was neglected. Yes, all these things happened, but I am way more than this. What in you motivated you in that way to say, I am more than this, and I'm going to give other kids the feeling, the insight, the value, to let them know they're more than this. You do not have to live based off of what you see. Step outside of this and tunnel this so you can have all of this. Does that make sense?
Jesus and people that fulfill their assignments. I don't believe you can't get through none of that without him. I honestly don't believe that. And then
what happens when you don't have a relationship? Or you be like, yo, what? God.
Right.
God, how you even real, yo, when you got all this stuff happening to me, though?
Okay, so.
Like for real. So, like, God, for real?
So, God, I believe in Jesus, I believe in the Bible, and I believe in people fulfilling their assignments. So, God doesn't come down here and talk to nobody. How does he talk to us? Through what? People. So, look at what you're doing now about therapy. This ain't making you no $1 million.
It sure ain't.
This ain't negativity, because negativity will make you money.
For real.
You know what I'm saying? You could do a lot of stuff negatively and it's going to make you money, but you're doing it because it's a real meaning behind it. Mm-hmm. What about if you wouldn't be doing what you're doing? You wouldn't be fulfilling your role. Mm-hmm. But there's people that just heard what you said. You might never see them. They're going to remember what you said. And guess what's going to make them say, you know what, she could do it, I could do it. Mm-hmm. So I believe it's God. I believe it's through Jesus, and then through human beings that come and talk and help us. Because there's times when you go through stuff. I had people say something to me and I'm going through something like, I don't know them, I'm more like Krispy Kreme or whatever. And they just saying something positive to me like, hey, it's going to be all right, this and that. Now, it might have just been some cliche thing, like just to say it. But at the same time, I needed it. Mm-hmm. I needed it. And I tell my wife all the time, I have females, they're not friends, they're friends, but they're not friends where I'm on the phone with them all the time, because that's a little too much if you're married. But they're friends, and she had to start realizing with me, and I had said to her years ago, I said, wouldn't you love it if you had a male friend that really cared about you and would never sexually try you?
And I had to learn how to let that happen for me, because I have a lot of male friends. Most of my male friends, before they became my friends, wanted me in some capacity, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and so when I finally got guys in my life now who genuinely want to just be, that was really hard for me. I didn't know how to move around that because I've never had that experience. Mm-hmm. I've always been used to somebody trying to take something from me, get something out of me. But lately God has been giving me dudes who just want to just be cool. Mm-hmm. That's different. Mm-hmm. That's different, right? So for you to say that to your wife, don't you just want a friend who just like, she may not even know how to do that.
She probably don't, and she
How to
and
accept
she has
that.
she has a story too, but it's one of the girls that I was telling you about, that somebody did that too. Like, we're so close, and she's still pushing forward, and you know, she was in the system, foster care system, and it's, I don't know, I just feel like, cause she'll call me, she'll text me like, oh, just thank you, bro, I love you. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's a lot of brothers or people in her life that she can just call and just do that to. And I think we all kind of need that, not to take away from you and your spouse, or to be talking to somebody forever and ever. Now that'll probably lead to something else, but there's relationships and there's business relationships and there's people out there that kind of sincerely just want to do things and just kind of keep moving on. If that makes sense.
It makes sense to me. So with that being said, what have you gained in terms of an appreciation as being a man, and then an appreciation that you have for women?
Yeah, I remember you asked that earlier too. So I'm different. Like, I know I'm from around here, and I'm just like, I never, like, I could be somewhere, and no offense to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't judge nobody, because I'm not perfect. I know you're not perfect. She's not perfect. She's not perfect. Yeah. Nobody's, I know that. That's what I've been learning more and more. Nobody's perfect.
I tell my clients all the time, like, listen, Hazel Jay, while I am very amazing, and I am a glow star, I will definitely disappoint you and let you down, because there's going to be a moment that I'm not going to be able to show up for you. And I don't need you to use that moment as your excuse not to show up for yourself, right? So with that said, I want you to really quickly, in 1 minute, tell us what you gained from this right here, this follow-up, and then where folks can find you, so I can tell folks where they can find me too.
Okay. What I gained from this, again, is just to be patient with people. I'm thinking about people. I'm thinking about just how we kind of take care of people. You don't know what somebody been through, why they doing or making the decisions they making. Instead of being just so judgmental, I used to be hard on men, and I'm kind of getting lackadaisy, but at the same time, I feel like men is the key to how a woman is going to respect herself. Because I can't stand when I'm somewhere, I'm not judging, and everybody like calling each other bitchs. It's like,
yeah, I don't
it's a setup. It's a setup from the NIGGA word.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I have to go here. African American women has been so strong during the plagues that they try to put out here. And the plague they try to put out here, if you do know, a lot of African American men are being shot down by their own selves. We ain't even gonna go to the police. I ain't worried about that. Worried about what we do to ourselves first. We get in drugs, as well as they just kind of fall off. So the ratio is horrible.
So so you're saying, in order to increase a man's presence, and to make him the head, to make him the leader, that you are now pouring into the community, into these young men, these young boys.
But we still have to respect women.
But teaching them how to respect the women at the same time.
Right.
So where can folks find you, so their sons and even their daughters can be guided and mentored by you in the work that you do, especially with your basketball? Where can folks find you?
DuJuan Mosely on Facebook, DuJuan_Mosely_real_estate on Instagram. Just please feel free for anything. I've even mentored a young lady before, and she was in 5th grade. She would just hug me.
Awesome. And I'm going to hug you too. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. And it's your girl, Dr. Hazel Jay. Feel free to find me on Instagram at iGlow Consulting, IGLOW Consulting. You can come to the spot in Riverdale off of Highway 85. You can definitely go to my website, hazeljay.com, HAZELJAY.com. Thank you so much.